Okay, class, good morning. You'll notice the do now on the board. So as you come into class, have a seat, get your notebooks out, get your pens out, and you can begin the do now. All right, we are quietly walking to our seats. Quietly, please. Getting out our notebooks and pens. Thank you. Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Tisha. Let's quietly go to our seats, please. Thank you. The do now is on the board. Thank you very much. Okay, so they do the do now. Takes about 5. And okay. All right, class, before we get to review now, I want to talk a little bit about today's focus. We are going to build students' ability to read complex texts and use evidence to talk and write about fiction, nonfiction, drama, and poetry. So you'll see that focus right there on the board to read along. And I have a handout for you. It's called the Common Core Standards tool. So this is going to have all of the rubrics for how to grade all of your work for this year. There's a lot here, I know, but we're just going to focus on a very small section today. I'll let you know that as we work today. So I'm going to hand this to you. Please pass the rows. You can pass down the rows. While you are passing that out, let me explain a little bit about what we're doing today. So we're going to experience a new today called The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. We're going to hear a masterful reading, which means read out loud rendition of this, a very well recited story. So also, we're going to begin working with a new standard today, which is right here on the board. It's RL 910 point. You can see that right in your handout. So if you go to page 12, in the bottom of page 12, please put your finger on that when you find it. Still seeing a couple in the back. Please put your finger on it when you find it. Bob, can you help your neighbor there and get their finger right there on RL 910.5? Thank you, very good. So can I get Timmy, can you please read that standard? Pause. So I had to flip through my technology a little bit, but normally this would be on the board for them all to see on a PowerPoint style thing. All right, so we're going to continue from having a student read today's standard. So, okay, Timmy, can you read today's standard? Yes. Analyze how an author's choices can structure a text, order events within it, e.g. parallel plots, and manipulate time, e.g. pacing, flashbacks created such effects as mystery, tension, or surprise. All right, thank you, Timmy. So we're going to work a little more with this, so don't worry too much about what all of this. We should all be tracking me. I'm speaking. So need a couple in the back to track me, please. Thank you. So we're going to use that today for an activity we'll be doing later. But now that we all have those, I'd like you to review now what you did for your do now. I'm going to add one task to that as you turn and talk. So we talked about 3 things in your do now. We talked about point of view, text context, and text style. So I want you to make sure you have a good definition for those that you're willing to share with the class in a moment. And I'm going to add the task paraphrase today's standard RL.9-10.5, the one you just had your finger on. So when I say turn and talk, I mean find a neighbor. So it should be 2 people. If we have an odd number, maybe we can have 3. One student to have their notebook open. The student with the longest last name, you'll have your notebook open, recording your definitions as a group. And the other one will be the speaker for the group as a class and share. I will be coming around the class. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have, but feel free to get started with your turn and talk and go. pause. Pause. So for this time, they'll be working in pairs. I'll be going around the class, kind of scanning, making sure they all understand. And then we'll come back together as a group and discuss. So, okay, for now, pause, sorry. For now, I'm walking around the class. I'll demonstrate what I might say to some students who might be off task. All right, we should all be either writing or talking with your partner. Hey, Chris, I noticed you haven't gotten started yet, so partner, he needs your help. So let's try to get the pencil to the paper. I know you're the recorder, so what did you get for point of view? Let's at least get that written down. So what did you get for point of view? Yeah, it's who's talking. So let's get that written down, please. Very good, Chris. Okay, let's keep it going, and hopefully in a few minutes we'll be able to share with the class. Great job. So yeah, they do this for a while. We come together as a class. All right, guys, I'm gonna cold call you. So we should have had one student in each pair group who should be ready to respond with your recorded notes. So this group over here, we have Tom. I think you were the spokesman. Can you tell me what you got for point of view? Is it like I or you? Yeah, it is related to I or you in a text. Expand on that. What does it mean as a definition? What about this group over here? What did you get? And can you expand on what Tom said? Trish. I think it's like who is talking in the text. Yeah, you might call, yeah, this point of view, the speaker who's talking. Those are all good answers. Okay, for text content, can we get Timmy? I think that's just what's in the text. Yeah, right, that's what's in the text, but let's be a little more specific. Let's see if we can get a little more. Billy. Like what's in the text, like characters and plot. Yeah, very good. So characters and plot. Yes, those are parts of text content. Can we get text style? Let's go to the back. Andrea, what did you get for text style? That's like what the author wants you to feel. Well, yeah, it is. You could use style to make you feel a certain way, but can someone help out, Andrea? Can we get Filbert? Can you help out, Andrea? What did you get for text style? We said maybe how the words they use, the way the characters speak to each other, how it's structured. Yeah, so what do you think, Andrea? Do you agree with Filbert? Yeah, I think it's all those things that he said. Great, Andrea, great. And so can someone quickly paraphrase RL.9, 10.5? Can you, I'll take a volunteer this time. Someone paraphrase our standard. I still see a few hands that are, I think we could use a few more in the back here. Yeah, can we get Timmy, you paraphrase that? Yeah, I think the standard is about showing how an author can make the reader feel a certain way. Yeah, great job, Timmy. That's exactly it. All right, class, track me. I need everybody, I need all eyes on me. Track me, please. Okay, great. So now I'm going to come around and pass out today's text. It's called the Telltale Heart. So I'll pass it out to this row and pass it back to the end of your row. Pass it out to this table, pass it out to this table. Okay, so as you're getting these, we'll be reading this. You'll be following along a masterful reading. I've got a YouTube video where the great Christopher Lee reads this. If you don't know him, he's a very famous actor. He's done all kinds of work when either in acting or also with reading masterful texts like this. So as he reads, it's going to be about 10 to 15 minutes. I want you to follow along. I want down any initial reactions or questions you have right there on your copy while you listen. So before we do that even, I also want you to number the paragraphs. So I'll give you a couple. You start on the top paragraph and write 1, second paragraph write 2, third paragraph write 3, all the way until the bottom. So let's number our paragraphs first. We should all be numbering our paragraphs. That means we should have our pens moving. See a couple in the back would be numbering their paragraphs. Thank you. Okay, so after we have all these down, remember, as we're listening, we're writing down reactions and questions you have. We'll talk about these later. So I'm gonna push play now. Okay, so pause. They play the masterful reading. It's about minutes long. So they should all be focused. They should all be following along in their text. But also the video has print that they can follow along with too. Okay, so the video plays, they listen, write their notes. Okay, and we will begin. Okay, class, we should have been writing down reactions and questions. So I'm gonna give you a chance now. Do we have any volunteers to share one question they might have had? Anyone want to volunteer for a question? Yes, Whitney. Yeah, what does hearken mean? So we're not gonna answer these questions right now. It's a great question, Whitney, but I'll write them up on the board and we'll talk about these later. So what is hearken? That's a good question. Hearken a couple times. Can we get another question? All right, get a few hands. Let's get a few more. What do you think, Tom? Yeah, why did people think he was mad? Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. We'll write that right under Whitney's. Very good. Anybody else? Yeah, Tim. Yeah, so my question was, so why did he hear the heart? Why did he hear the heart? Okay, so after we have maybe 10 or 15 questions, maybe a little less. Oh, pause. Sorry, that was an aside to you, the listener. We probably do this for about 5 or so minutes, writing things on the board, open questions that the students can think about. Okay. So those are all very good questions. We're going to come back to these, but for now, I need you all to get into your discussion, which happens to be the students at your table. So we're going to go to this very often. So almost every day that we discuss a new text, we'll get our discussion pods. So today, like I said, it's just the people there at your table. So within these groups, I want you to reread paragraph 1. So you should have numbered the first paragraph. Hopefully we all can count to 1. The first paragraph, and we're gonna one by one per group, each one read one sentence at a time and move clockwise around until you've read the first paragraph out loud to each other. So we're gonna closely look at this paragraph later. So, and as you're reading this, think about these questions we just talked about. And if you can answer any of these questions, go ahead and write those down in the margins of your text. And we'll have a chance to talk about these later. So go ahead, you should be reading and you should be talking about, if you get done reading, you should be talking about these questions up here we just asked on the board. Go ahead. All right, in our discussion pod, please. Thank you. Okay, very good. Very good reading. Just like Christopher Lee. Excellent. Okay, and pause. Okay, so they talk about this within their groups for a while. I go around to them, make sure everything's fine, and then we'll move on to the next. Okay, class, we're gonna come together in 5, 4, 3, 2, pencils down, everybody. 1. Tracking me, great. So next I'm gonna come around and pass out A very valuable tool that you will probably be using very often throughout the rest of this semester. It's called the annotation guide. So annotation is when you mark in your text something you want to remember for later. Pass these out. So this table can pass it out to each other. This table can pass out, and so on. So as you're getting these, I want you to today look at only the top 4. So the first one says circle, and you circle powerful words and phrases. And you write why they are powerful. So let's take a look at our text. Let's look for some powerful words. I should say I should have a PowerPoint up to see that has the first paragraph written out. Powerful words. Can anyone see a powerful word here in paragraph 1? He's talking about how he feels. There's a lot of powerful words here. Looking around. Yeah, Tim, a powerful word. Yes, dreadfully. Yes, let's go ahead and circle dreadfully. So why is that word powerful? Well, let's see it. Dreadfully nervous, right? These words kind of show you how this narrator feels. Those are very powerful adjectives. Sure. Could someone else help out and find another powerful word we can circle? Yeah, go ahead, Andrea. Yeah, great. Hearken, right? It's got an exclamation point. It's loud. Right, so let's circle that. And can you explain why that's a powerful word? Well, I think it's showing that he wants everybody to listen to him. Yeah, so yes, so that's a very powerful word. You can write that in the margin, wants to listen to him. Great. So now we're going to move to, okay, now let's look at the second one, underline. So these are words or phrases you stand. So let's take a look once again at our text. Not understand. So are there any words here you do not understand? Raise your hand if you see any words you don't understand. Yeah, go ahead, Filbert. Yeah, I don't know what acute means. Great, so you can go ahead and underline acute. You're not going to know every word to every text. We're not going to answer. We're not going to go through the definition of every word right now, but maybe you'll have a chance to revisit this later now that you've underlined it. Anybody else? Yes, Tommy. Yeah, I don't know what hearken means. Great, yeah, so underline hearken. Well, once again, maybe by the end of this reading, you'll have a better understanding of that. So let's continue. Let's look back at our sorry about as it pause. Sorry about that. I'm trying to work on the technology from one thing to the other. Anyway. Okay, the third one is a question mark. So this one, so place a question mark next to the text that raises questions. So is there anything here that made you ask a question? We have a lot of these up here. So since we already talked about that, I'll take this question. Yeah, what does hearken mean? We'll write a question mark right there. We have this other question that we asked earlier. I'll put another question mark there in the text next to that. And this last one, an exclamation point. This one says, place an exclamation point next to ideas that surprise you and explain why it surprised you. So there's a lot in this sentence there's a lot in this first paragraph that might surprise you. So let's take a look at our text. So what is surprising here? What do you think? What strikes you as different or surprising? Phil. So it says he can see things in hell. That's kind of strange. Yes. Yeah. Great job. Yeah. So he sees things in hell. Most people can't do that. That's very unusual. I think that deserves a big exclamation point. So go ahead and everybody write an exclamation point right there in your text. Great. So before we get started with the activity, I also want to pay attention to the point of view. We talked about point of view earlier being who the narrative speaker in the story is, who can tell me who what word you can find that shows what the point of view is. Yeah, Timmy. Word I shows point of view. Yes, great, Timmy. Yes. So I, you can go ahead and underline I, and you can write POV. So for the purposes of today, you can write POV next to the I to show that that is the point of view. So we'll talk a little bit about why that's important later, but for now you just need to know that the point of view is I. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and quickly, okay, we're gonna take a look at some other punctuation that might deserve some annotation. So let's take a look at a few words that maybe has some surprising punctuation. So what do you see? Yeah, Timmy. Yeah, there's a few exclamation points. Right, yeah. So can someone help out Timmy and tell me which one, what words had an exclamation point? Yeah, go ahead, Tim. Okay, hearken, right. Yeah, was there any other punctuation that you think deserves some mentioning here? Let me see, can I get Jake? Yeah, there's lots of question marks, like he's asking the reader something. Yeah, exactly. So, so can someone expand on that idea? So maybe tell me what the author might be asking. So why do you think he's asking these questions? Yes, Andrea. So maybe he's asking because nobody believes him. Yes, very good answer. So do you agree with that, Tim? Yeah, I think that might be a good reason why. Okay, very good. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to have you all continue annotating using the rules I've given you. We have these 4 at the top, and at the bottom, there are those 2 tips that you can actually read. Sorry. You can write things that are important in the margins. So write important thoughts and connections in the margins, and write questions you have about the reading in the margins. Don't forget to do that. So I want you to go back into your discussion pods and quickly annotate everything in paragraph 1. Go ahead. Okay, so yeah, the students, maybe in their groups, they'll continue annotating. So I'm going around the classroom, making sure they're all annotating correctly, finding things that are worth underlining or circling. And then in the middle of this, I redirect them to the board. Okay, class, I've seen some great annotations today. I'm gonna redirect you really fast up here to the board. So let's take a look. We have some discussion questions up here. So I want you all to stay in your groups. I want the student with the birthday closest to today to get out your journal and your pen and write down what you talks about when you discuss these questions. So if you annotated well, the answers to these questions should be not terribly difficult to find. So all of these relate to things we just talked about, the things we should be annotating. So I'll be coming around the room, but I really want you guys to work as a group. So if you really have a disagreement, you can raise your hand, but I'd like you guys to work as independently within your groups as possible. By that, I mean without my help. But like I said, if you need my help, if there's a disagreement, by all means, raise your hand. But I would like you all to rely on each other. You are all great resources, and you will be doing this quite a bit. So go ahead. You can begin now. All right, very good answer. Yeah, very good. Yeah, okay. Okay, good work. Yeah, teacher. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Tim. Well, we actually had a disagreement within our group. The question, who is the narrator speaking to? So we don't know who's the narrator speaking to. Well, what did you think? So you said you had a disagreement. What do you think, Tom? I think he's talking to the reader. Well, okay, why do you disagree, Andrea? Well, if he's talking to the reader, he wrote this hundreds of years ago. The reader's me. I mean, there's no way it could be me. All right, so what evidence in the text do you have? What do you think, Tom? Well, he says you right here. Yeah, great. It does say you, sure. So in the context of reading, reading skills, when we talk about who is the narrator speaking to, it's simply you. So it doesn't matter when me as a person, the reader is alive, he's talking to maybe an unknown character, but as far as we're concerned, it's just you. So that's I think a very good answer. But Andrea, I think you also have a very good point that it's not really clear who you is. Great job. So you guys can keep working, keep up the good work. All right, class, tracking me. I need all eyes. Great. So I've seen some great answers in these discussion questions. So, but if you're not done with them, great. I'll give you a few more minutes to work on that. But if you are done answering those, which I know many of you are, I want you to preview and annotate the second paragraph using the tools we just learned from class. So you can use the handout I already gave you, the annotation cheat sheet, but let's go ahead and annotate the second paragraph. We will be using this quite a bit next class, so this is pretty important. So, yeah. So they continue working, and after a while, maybe they wrap this up. Maybe I reiterate that it should be done independently, and then we're gonna move on to the quick write. All right, class, we should put our pencils down, All right. Timmy, let's put eyes up here, tracking me, great. Okay, so the last thing we'll do, our exit ticket, is gonna be a quick write, but before I let you guys start that, I wanna talk a little bit about a standard we'll be using quite a bit. So let's go ahead and get out that Common Core Standards tool we talked about, and let's take a look at one of the standards I'll be using to grade your short written work. Okay, so as we enter into our exit ticket for today, let's take a look at the board, the quick write. So let's have a read the quick write prompt for me. Yeah, go ahead. Timmy, what is the narrator's purpose in asking the two questions in paragraph 1? Great job, right. So in a few minutes, we'll be writing about this. But first, I want you to see a few things about how I'll be grading you and all of your short responses, which I have many of them this year. So go to your Common Core, sorry, getting lost in technology again. Just be a lot of papers, don't have a printer though. So have out the short response checklist. It's on the very bottom of your Common Core Learning Standards tool. So the short response checklists, looks like we all have it out. Got one more in the back. Can we help out your friend there? Get to page 19. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 1 minute to read through this. Just quickly skim, look for some key words, and we'll come back together right before we finish up for the day with our exit ticket. Go ahead. So they read for 1 minute. Okay, Timmy, can you tell me one key word that will help you write this well? Yeah, I saw the word clearly. Very good, clearly. You want to write clearly. Can someone else help out? Andrea. Yeah, they say quote. Thank you, Andrea. You want to, yeah, of course, you want to directly quote things from the text. What do you think, Timmy? What's a key word you saw? Arrange evidence. Yeah, great. You want to arrange evidence. We just talked about direct quotes. Arrange evidence. Very good. So we should be doing all of these things when we're writing our quick write. Don't worry too much about this today. This is the very first day. as we do this more and more, you guys will become experts. Let's take the rest of the class, finish up your quick write. And as soon as you're done, you'll see the homework on the board. Make sure you have that written down and prepared for tomorrow. Great class today, and I will see you all tomorrow. And insane. So whoever's watching this, I do want to apologize for the technology hiccups. I think in a real classroom, I would probably have a board. I would have printed papers in front of me, but don't have a printer, don't have a board. So hopefully that wasn't too distracting or difficult to follow. Thanks.